Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, Northbound Motorcycle ADV. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Forrest Johnson, and I ride a Royal Enfield Himalayan. And for those of you that follow the channel, well, you might have noticed that the last episode ended rather abruptly. Still had plenty of daylight, hadn't made it to my campsite yet. Well, there's a reason for that. I am still working out all the kinks in my system. And in this little experiment, what I learned was don't panic. Your video footage and audio files are there somewhere. You just have to find them. So with that said, I posted the last video a little premature. I thought I had lost all the video footage that you're now watching, so I posted what I had. And with that said, of course, I was able to recover all my files about 20 minutes later after posting it up on YouTube. So that's a lesson learned. So let's just continue our ride up here on the Smith River Scenic Byway. As we go, the river's down below. You really can't see it a whole lot, but it's still a beautiful ride. So we'll continue on up and then, well, we'll just look for the next Scenic Byway. Thanks for riding along. Now I gotta say, from this point in the ride, we're almost at the end of the Smith River Scenic Byway. And the river's down below, and you can't always see it from this point on, but I'll tell you, this ride, the road is perfect. It's got just the right amount of twists and turns in it. The scenery is just really fantastic. And eventually you'll come to a point where the river does split away from the highway, and then you hit a tunnel. And then you know you're definitely at the end of the Scenic Byway. So with the Smith River Scenic Byway behind us, we're going to continue on north here on Highway 199. We're going to have to go a little bit out of our way in order to get to the next Scenic Byway, but I think you'll understand. Okay, well that just about does it for the Smith River Scenic Byway, and the next one that we're going to attempt to find is the State of Jefferson Scenic Byways. But before I get there, I've got to cross into Oregon and find a road I've never been on before called Waldo Street or Waldo Road, something like that. And it's just past the border, and I'll hang a right on there, and then that'll turn into a Forest Service road at some point, I believe, and it'll snake its way back down through the forest and back into California. And once we do that, then we should be able to find the State of Jefferson Scenic Byway. And once we do, I'll pull over, take a picture of the sign, and talk a little bit of history about what that is all about. So let's continue on. Hope you enjoyed the Smith River Scenic Byway. More to come. Have to find a place to go. So after I found Waldo, I headed south on a really nice backcountry road here in Oregon, and was heading south towards the border of California again. Looking at those mountains off in the distance, that's where I knew I had to camp that night. It was getting kind of late in the day, and the clouds were starting to move in, and kind of a threat of rain here. So I kind of picked up the pace a little bit and was really looking for those mountains. Okay, here we are in the beginning of our second Scenic Byway. I finally found the beginning. It wasn't too hard. This is the State of Jefferson Scenic Byway. And there's a lot of history behind the State of Jefferson. So we'll talk more about that later on tonight when I get into camp. And right now, it's kind of getting late in the afternoon. It's about 4 o'clock, and I still need to find a place to camp. So let's hit the road. What a difference. Okay, let's get back on the road. It doesn't seem quite fair to start this ride on the beautiful State of Jefferson Scenic Byway without giving you at least a little bit of backstory as to how it got its name and where we are, for that matter. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the mythical state of Jefferson, it's an area that covers southern Oregon and northern California. And believe it or not, they've actually tried to secede from these two states to form their own state a couple times, actually. And one of the ones actually happened in 1941. They actually were setting up roadblocks and declared themselves their own state, and set up a roadblock and were charging people tolls as they were coming through. That happened in 1941 in November. Unfortunately, that movement stopped abruptly with the breakout of World War II a month later, and the State of Jefferson didn't quite seem as important after that. So that's where we are, and I'll fill you in a little bit more here down the road.
And that's quite the view. Lots of dead trees here. They had a fire that roared through here. That's what all this logging slash is all about. Trying to get all the dead stuff out of here. You can see the pockets of green where it didn't burn. Yeah, that's pretty out that way though. Alright, some black rain clouds on the horizon. See if we can avoid those. Eventually came to a turnoff that I was planning on taking. It's a Forest Service road that was going to parallel the road that I'm on now, which is actually called Happy Camp Road. But this Forest Service road was going to take me down into the town of Happy Camp, but unfortunately, as you've seen, this area has been pretty well burnt up, and I just didn't really feel like going in there and trying to find a place to camp and all that dead wood, and just wasn't something I really wanted to deal with. So I decided to just kind of keep going down the road I was on and see what I can do and see if I could find a place a little bit greener, a little bit more inviting. Wow. Bert, man, what a view. Sucks it's all burnt, but man. Now, I am happy to say, in my pursuit of greener pastures, this ride
is pretty beautiful, even with all the burnt trees. You know, the views and the vistas that I'm getting, and just there's nobody on the road. It's just a great ride. I'm really glad I could share it with you. So as I worked my way down off the top of the mountain there, the lower I got, the greener it got, which kind of made me feel a little better, you know. So I was still looking for a place to camp, and in doing so, just really enjoying the ride. Okay, well, I just talked to a really nice guy there, and he pointed me in the right direction of a really nice campground. Not one for staying at campgrounds, but he said it was pretty nice, and it's a Forest Service one, and it's free, so we'll go give that a try. Was it for Happy Camp. All right, well, I just pulled off on the side of the road because it's just really pretty. So that's the Klamath River that we're looking at now, and it's not quite as clear as the Smith, but Very beautiful. Salmon steelhead galore on this river as well. State of Jefferson Highway. Let's keep going. So it wasn't too much further down the road that I finally found the campsite, the Forest Service campground that the guy at the grocery store was telling me about. So as I pulled in, like I said, I wanted to check it out. I've never been here before. I'm not a big campground guy, but at least wanted to give it a shot, and it was getting pretty late in the day, so this was probably going to be it. As it turned out, worked out pretty fine. However, the guy at the grocery store was incorrect. You do have to pay to stay here. So anybody who wants to stay here, write this down. It's $15 a night to stay. Not a big deal. Okay. Well, we got the campsite. Now we just got to get it set up. I tell you. It has been a wonderful day. Kind of tired, but not too tired, which is the way it should be, I think. But it's beer 30 for sure. Take a break, relax for just a minute, and then I'm gonna have to get going on my campsite, start thinking about some food. Well, I'm still pretty full from that breakfast. Tonight's beer is a Exogena IPA from Fall River Brewery. They're out of Fall River. Picked this up at the grocery store at Happy Camp. It wasn't that long ago, so it's still cold. I put the other ones in my Yeti to keep them cold, but I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about that tonight. But I'll have 2 beers ready to go for tomorrow. Looks like it might start raining too. Alright, if it's gonna rain, I better get busy. Beer might have to wait. That's unfortunate. I'm having a good time. I learned something today too. You know, this whole... Well, let's save that until after I get set up. I'll have a talk here in a little bit. I gotta get busy or I just won't get it done. Oh, boy, I tell you. It has been a nice day. Kind of sucked in the beginning with that rain.
But all in all, I think we're doing okay. I've got a one-person Big Agnes tent here that I've had for quite some time, and it works absolutely. It's filthy dirty, but it works really, really good. I do wish I had a two-person Big Agnes tent. I think it would be a little bit more room, especially with all my motorcycle gear. This thing is super easy to set up. And I've had this for, gosh, probably 12, 15 years, something like that. So I've definitely got my use out of it. Unfortunately, the cord here is, the bungee cord is starting to get a little worn out. But other than that, tent's holding up pretty good. You know, it's funny. Every time I set this tent up and put the rain fly on it, I think of a YouTuber. His channel's PSBE Adventures. And he was on an adventure one time, him and his buddy. And he might have been by himself on that one, I'm not sure. But what did I do? Put this upside out? No, I'm good. But anyways, every time I put this together, I think of the adventure that he was on, because he had one of these and then lost it off of his bike, and then circled back and found it again. And I can totally relate to that, because I did the same thing with this very rainfly on the Lost Coast trail. Lost it, circled back, couldn't find it. Came back the next weekend to ride some more and found it. So it's kind of funny. Every time I put this thing together now, I think of you, Chris. Okay, so got my tents all set up. Got the basics all done here for now. Let's go down and check out the river. I can hear it. It's got to be like right here. I think I saw a trail over here that takes you down to the water. We'll take a look at it. One thing I did notice when I was walking around in this campground is a couple things. One, if you look over here, you'll see a big pile of rocks, and we'll look at it a little closer when we get over there. But some people might think that, maybe that was just dug up, or pushed out of the way to make these roads or this campground or whatever. But this is actually a legacy of the gold rush back in the 1800s. So when I was back over in Happy Camp picking up some supplies, beer, I talked to a local that was super friendly that told me about this, didn't catch his name, but he told me about this campsite. But he was saying that the town of Hamburg, which is basically where we are, there's like 60 people there now. And during the height of the gold rush, he said that there was 40,000 Chinese workers that were here working the gold fields. And what they did is they basically hosed down entire mountains, hydraulic dredging, and washed all the gold into an area to where they basically wash the mountains away so that they could get to the gold, in layman's terms. And as a result, this is what you got. And this kind of stuff is all over this area, and all over Northern California where most of the gold rush was taking place. But yeah, these are probably all put here by hand, I'm guessing. Pretty crazy, huh? Let's go down and take a look at the water. All right, so here's the Klamath River. This campground apparently has a boat launch. People put their rafts in and stuff here, but boy, look at the algae. Or not algae, whatever that stuff is, the aquatic plants here. It's like this big thick mat of, I don't know what that is. It's kind of gross looking though. The rest of it's kind of pretty. Huh. Well, I was hoping to be a little more dramatic than that, but that's Klamath River. Klamath River. Let's go back to beer 30. Well, as far as campgrounds go, at least I'm kind of by myself. There's only one other person in the whole place. Just talked to her. She was pretty nice. So, but yeah, there's home sweet home for tonight. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to hang up my... I paid. You guys are all witnesses. I paid my money. Okay. Now I'm all legit. $15 for a campsite, it's not too bad. Forest Service campsite. Forest Service campground. There's pit toilets. There's no water. I mean, there's the river right there, but there's no potable water here. But I got a water filter, so I'm not worried about it. All right. Well, I think it's about time to see if I can get a fire going, maybe, or at least get it set up, get ready for it. And then, yeah, I think it's time to change out of these clothes and get into my camp attire. All right.
Well, I hope you liked riding along with me today, and on the first day of our do-over. I tell you, there's a lot of kinks to work out for this that I, really hadn't thought of before, and I'm glad I'm doing it this way before I go up to Canada and then just shoot myself in the foot because I didn't know this already. So, learned a few things today. One, I definitely need to get a charging unit on my motorcycle. The mud horn needs to be hooked up to where I can charge all of my electronic devices. Haven't done it yet. I've been kind of getting by, but I think charging on the go is, at this point for me, with as many things as I have going, it's definitely time for me to invest in one of those. So I'll be looking through different YouTube channels. Probably go with the one WeJaunt had. Martin always has good advice over there on the WeJaunt channel, so I'll look at that. He installed one, and I think it worked out pretty well for him. Justin put one in on his, on Karma Kazumoto. Yeah, so I'll look at those as well. But okay, so I'm all set and completely done. Just gonna get a little bite to eat here in a little bit, and as soon as it gets dark, then I'm gonna start up the firebox and yeah, just call it a night. So tomorrow I'm going to continue on, and we'll finish out on the Scenic Byway for the Jefferson Scenic Byway, State of Jefferson Scenic Byway.
And really, we need to talk about that because it's kind of an interesting story. From my understanding, Northern California and Southern Oregon, way back in the 30s and 40s, kind of got together and said, you know what, we want to break away and make our own state. So they practically did, and everybody around here kind of has that feeling that they already have. Just kind of interesting. It's called the state of Jefferson, and they have their own radio station, Jefferson Public Radio, that kind of thing. But I read somewhere that they were so serious about it that they were putting up roadblocks on either Highway 101 or somewhere. I have to look into it. But anyway, they'd set it up and were setting up roadblocks, and people, as they were getting ready to come into it, they were going to charge them or tell them or something. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, say, hey, look, you've now come into the state of Jefferson. And they were really ready to make it public in that fashion. But they did it on December 6th, 1941. So the news got out, that they had started their own little state of Jefferson, but then it got quickly trampled because of December 7th, 1941, the bombing of Pearl Harbor. So all of that news pretty much squashed this little rebellion here, whatever you want to call it, but this breakaway state of Jefferson. But so I'm not quite sure if that's true. It's a long time ago that I read that, or I might not even have read that. Maybe somebody told me that. So I'm sure there's some people out there that would look that up and let me know in the comments exactly what the deal is. But I know that the area for the state of Jefferson nowadays is known for being very resilient, very independent, very, I don't want to say anti-government, but they're just kind of, hey, leave me alone kind of people. We're hard-working folks and just don't mess with us, kind of a thing. Which is a good thing, I don't have any problems with that or anything. But, as we go through, I'll try to point out the state of Jefferson flags that are flying around here, so it'll be kind of interesting. So it's a fun ride. Today's ride, once I got through all the burn, which was absolutely heartbreaking, although it opened up the view, which was crazy, but absolutely heartbreaking to see that much timber burned up. But the road itself is in great shape, as you saw, and I came down into Happy Camp, and then after that, going north on I guess it'd be east on 96, it just opened up, and it was just such a fantastic ride. I mean, I was hoping to do a little bit of dirt. I think the road that I was originally going to take and camp at tonight, I missed somewhere. I'm not quite sure. But it was all burned up bad, so I really didn't want to stay there anyway. So, but tomorrow we'll head in and finish out the state of Jefferson Scenic Byway, and then we'll catch another scenic byway, and I'll tell you more about that tomorrow. So, but as it is now, I'm going to call it a night. Thanks for riding with me. If you have any questions of routes, where I'm going, what I'm doing, what I'm drinking, leave me a comment. I read each and every one of them, and I'm just having a great time, and I'm glad I can share it with you. And for those that want to know, this is the Fall River Hexagena IPA. Highly recommend it. It's very good. And with that, we'll call it a night. Thanks for riding along. Really.